And Ronald in Indianapolis.
Oh, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
Just fine.
Wonderful show. I've got to give my accolades to you guys. And I had a question about what was your opinion on meditation as an atheist?
What's going on? Is this Ronald?
Yes, this is Ronald.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I'm just confused because all day long the topic listed has been completely different from what the people are talking about when they get on the air.
But that's okay. You know, if you want to.
Well, I'm just adding that. I mean, I'll explain my position, but you've had so much going on with your conversations with the other callers that I'm trying to slow things down a little bit and let you guys breathe.
Yeah, it's just weird here because it says the universe was created by a scientific process, not a God process, and okay, so far as we can tell, it's definitely a naturalistic process, and we don't have any reason to assert a God. So cool, I agree. We're done with that. Meditation. I think it's pretty clear that there have been demonstrated some real benefits to meditation, but that none of this actually requires any appeal to the supernatural.
Yeah, I have things that I do to put myself in a calming state. And so I do
too. It's just a problem with the phone. It's just a problem with the phone.
I know. He said, you've been very good today.
I'm trying.
Been very zen.
Well,
so yeah, I mean, but we are beings with a wide range of emotions that we experience all the time, and so yeah, those are good things to have, but they don't have to be.
I think what some people have done with things like meditation. And I don't want to call it placebo effect and stuff like that because as far as I can tell, there are real benefits. And I think what some people have done is said, "Hey, this is good, and I don't know how it works," and then they add a whole bunch of crap to it, and entirely unjustified. It's kind of like, the snake oil salesman that is going to sell you a cure-all, and maybe it's got aspirin in it, so it actually works for something. And no, this is awesome, and it'll grow your limbs back, and it just won't.
I think it's an example of the same kind of confirmation bias that I was just talking about with our previous caller, where if you are someone who believes in a loving God, if you are someone who believes in nirvana, if you are someone who believes that you have chakras, and whatever thing that you do in your life that puts you in an emotionally stable and comfortable place, you'll attribute that to those things.
There's a lot of this that comes down to, hey, wouldn't it be cool if very quickly for some people turns into, oh, this is true. And it begins with these ideas that there is because we each have our own subjective experience within reality, that therefore we have something that's, well, it's true for me. No. There's truth. But this true for me thing goes, you see it with what the bleep do we know and everything else, where we are inventing the reality that we're in. People have taken it, to that extent, and it's just bizarre. None of it holds up, and so we may be crippling the discovery of good and real things. It's like I've pointed out before that prayer can have benefits, and prayer can have benefits similar to meditation. It would be nice to investigate that and figure out what we can find out about the cause as best we can, or at least exactly how to consistently replicate the results and what areas they're effective and when they're not, rather than adding a whole bunch of baggage, which should probably just be called garbage, to it.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and what I was saying relates to my studies of all of that stuff. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want your eyes to roll back in your head. But as an atheist, my biggest issue with arguing, especially with Christians or other religious people, was the birth of the universe. And I've worked for years and trying to really hone down an argument to explain how the universe itself is born without a God mechanism. And I think I have that argument down. All that kind of led me to the. I'm sorry, you're going to say something?
I was just going to say you can't, and I'll tell you why. The claim is that the universe began without a God mechanism. You can't make that claim because it's an unfalsifiable claim. It could be, and the response from the theists is God works, through natural means. You can't disprove. You can't prove that there wasn't a God actually tinkering and using natural means. So I mean, you got to be very careful about how you frame some of those things because you end up with indefensible position.
Yeah, the best thing to say, and really all you need to say, is that we do not have any reason to suppose that a God would have been necessary.
Yeah, a violation of Occam's razor, whatever.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Yeah, so please go on.
Well, the way I look at it, though, is when you take you say quantum entanglement and vacuum energy and the double slit experiments, it's my belief that it's these phenomena that people haven't really looked at tying together as a causality for the universe. I think the universe has left clues to how it essentially replicates itself. And I think it's looking at the overall, examples that are left that are basically what we look at as scientific mystery, because scientists really don't understand the why behind these things. And that's where my studies have come in, is to say, when you ask the question, what is consciousness? Really, the truth of consciousness, it only really has four choices. And you could call that a qubit, essentially, which is yes, no, both, and neither. And all the conscious choices we make as human beings are based around that. And when I say you can have two simultaneous states at the same time, as a human being, of course, I'm sure you've laughed so hard you've cried. That's occupying a simultaneous state. So
no, it's not.
I'm sorry?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, then, how do you see that then?
Well, to the extent that I understand what you've done, because you went off in all kinds of directions, and as soon as people start throwing out quantum, I just have to swallow the vomit, because it's used for so much confusion. You just said yes, no, both, neither. That's a violation of the logical absolutes. This is a category mistake to say that you're to go to human reactions and say you laugh till you cry, so you're simultaneously in a laugh state and a cry state. Well, those two states aren't mutually exclusive. The contradiction would be to both in a laugh state and not in a laugh state. That is a true dichotomy. Laugh and cry is not a true dichotomy. And so this is where people get confused. They think that the logical absolutes, they think true and false is a true dichotomy. True and false is not a true dichotomy. True and not true is the dichotomy. True and false only applies to statements whose truth value can be assessed. And so a statement is either true or not true. There is no both or neither.
Well, then my question is, since we're there, how do you view that scientists have witnessed particles either in a simultaneous state or two different states? Or occupying the same state, if you will.
Because those are not true dichotomies. I get this all the time. When I talk about the logical absolutes, people email in and say, well, what about, quantum physics, where something's, in one state and in another state? Okay, something can be in multiple states. The fact that the problem is that something can't be in a state and not in that state at the same time in the same way. And when we've observed things that appear to be this way, it's come down to our inability to accurately understand and model this. It's not a violation of the laws of thought. And actually the laws of thought they're the truisms. They're not something that you would violate. They're not prescriptive laws. But now we are way out there, and there's one more call I want to get to, and there's only like 2 minutes left on the show, so we'll have to save it for another time.
Okay, sounds good.
But we do appreciate the call, man. Thanks.